Happy Mid-Autumn Festival. Happy Chuseok. Happy National Day to those of you who celebrate it. We're nearing the tail end of our vacation here. Currently speaking, I'm looking at October 1st. So the beginning of certain vacation chaos and the end to others. And for me, it's the end of my 3.5 day weekend. And many things happened. Of course, of course. What did you expect in my life? Peace? Girl, I'm trying to chase that too. But before I entered my Zen era for my 3.5 days vacation, I did discover an interesting epiphany that I really, really, really needed to hear. And that is something called the upper limit theory. And I've discovered that on a Wednesday. So this week, I know I haven't updated for like one and a half. It's a very weird gap because usually I do it on Sunday, but last week I did it on a Wednesday, so it just throws off the timeline. But I'm happy that I waited because Wednesday comes around. I think it's my calling. Wednesday comes around, I discovered this epiphany, and then the rest of the week unfolded. So today I'm going to preach, not even tell you, I'm going to preach about the upper limit theory as well as explain, how did I spend my Chuseok, which is the Korean Thanksgiving Day. Spoiler alert, I actually spent it alone, and I had a really good time. So let's jump back. Whoa, woo! Let's jump back in. I need some water. Like, clearly I cannot speak. Here we go. So we're rewinding back to last week. Last Monday, Tuesday, and then Wednesday. That's where we're going to pick up. So last week was very interesting because of the Korean Thanksgiving holiday. Our place was going to be closed on physically closed on starting from Thursday all the way to Friday and then Saturday. However, we do have online classes on Thursday. So really your vacation starts on Friday for like some of us. So on Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday, we had to flip-flop some classes. You don't need to know the reason why. You just need to know that we had to flip-flop some classes. So it's interesting because usually we are the teacher for like a certain component, but then now we have to teach sort of the inverse of that component. So we see the same kids, but we're teaching different things. So when they walked in, they were so confused. They were like, why are you here? Literally, one kid looked at me. She walked into the room. She looked at me and she goes, why are you here? And I said, well, I'm going to be teaching this other components today. She's like, why? I said, because of Chuseok holiday. And she goes, oh, okay. And then she just completely let it go. But her reaction stayed with me. So because of that, if the week felt a little wonky right off the bat. And then on Wednesday, I decided to fall into a YouTube rabbit hole, as one does. When I'm cooking, when I'm eating, sometimes I just let autoplay do its thing. I let the algorithm do its thing. And that's how I discover the upper limit theory, or actually the way I was introduced to this theory was called the thermostat theory. So before we start, what you need to know is that I used to be, you don't really need to know this. This is just a TMI. But I used to be a STEM major in college. And one takeaway I took from being a STEM major was that, because I had to, okay. You know what? Let's start from the beginning. I think I have ADHD. When I selected a major, I went into my college declaring as a chem major. Why? Okay, you might find this reason stupid, because I didn't like biology. Do you hear yourself, Julie? You're going into STEM, but you don't like biology. You're trying to be a doctor, but you don't like biology is the study of life, honey boo boo. You cannot escape biology, okay? Life is biology. So, quickly realized after 1 year, chem is not for me. So I was like, okay, so I can change to another major. What I really wanted to do was to get out of pre-med, but, I tried to talk with my parents and then find a middle ground, but the middle ground was not there. The middle ground was like, you know, one of the bricks that you jump on in Super Mario and it kind of like crumbles and disappears. Yeah, that was our middle ground. It was non-existent. So I was like, okay, so maybe I could find another science subject that excites me. So I'm looking at everything that I could pick in a buffet, in my buffet of STEM. I chose neuroscience. So I went back to biology. Like, listen. So I had to learn all these things I did not want to learn. Life is a full circle because I was about to be handed a lesson about my life through a concept in science, a very prominent concept in science. So life is when you boil down to the bones of what life means. Life is just a constant state of reestablishing equilibrium. Like your body constantly create these gradients so that it could drive certain components to move from different parts of your body. But ultimately, life is this endless battle of chasing that equilibrium. And the only time you truly establish equilibrium is when you die, because, you know, that's it, buddy. So on Wednesday, while I was washing dishes or eating, I don't remember, maybe one of the two, maybe both, like the universe decided to hack my algorithm and gifted me the video to make sense of my self-sabotaging tendencies. So remember 2 podcasts ago, maybe even 3, I started talking about this really bad habit of falling out of the good habits that I established after Project 50, right? I woke up, had a workout routine, did all these things that I didn't think I could do, and then reached the finish line like, damn, I did it. I can't believe it, but I did it. And then soon after, a week or so, I bounced right back into my old habit. And a part of me is conscious, and I know that, am I deliberately sabotaging myself? And then one night, I started to reconnect my gaming devices, and I started to fall into this, I would like to call it a video game addiction. It's not really that bad, but it's bad for me in the sense that it took away the little time I had to myself. Instead of doing something productive, I dedicated my time to do something that didn't really have anything to give to me. I started playing PlayStation right after I get home from work, and then I play until like 2 to 3. Like that wouldn't be the only thing that I do, but it's like, let's say I go prep my classes and then I'm like, all right, I could sleep. And the logical answer is to sleep because, you know, even though people rely on coffee to be like the stimulant to help them carry on the day, sleep is the only way to recharge your battery. Coffee is only like, again, like a stimulant. Like imagine sleep prolongs the length of a pencil, and coffee is just a pencil sharpener. It doesn't give you extra juice. It just sharpens your attention span, and that's it. If you don't get a lot of sleep, there's only so much that coffee can do for you, right? But instead of sleeping, you know, that morbid fear of, oh my gosh, my day is over, I haven't really done anything for myself. I didn't read, I didn't journal, I picked up a controller and I started playing FIFA. Like until 2 or 3. It's ridiculous. Some point in the middle of like playing, I just feel numb. It's like I'm not even playing just for the serotonin of it. It's like I'm playing because I'm on autopilot. This is what I do before I go to sleep. So I was very frustrated with myself. I thought, you know, hey, 50 days of effort was wasted. And this is not the first time that I kind of self-sabotage my progress. So I'm like, what is wrong with me? What is wrong with my head? Like, how can I explain this? How can I hack this? But that video on Wednesday was it. It's like, imagine this. When I self-sabotage And maybe this applies to you as well. I don't know how everyone self sabotage. Maybe we can have like an AA meeting and then we can talk about how we self sabotage. But for me, it's like I am sitting in the passenger seat. I am aware of what I'm doing, or at least I'm somewhat aware of what I'm doing. And I am aware, like I know this is a waste of time. Sometimes I'll catch myself towards the end of an action, like, whoa, this was a waste of time. Like, why am I doing this? But lately, especially with the PlayStation, it's like playing rock, paper, scissors with yourself. The thing is, I know what each hand's moves are because I decide those moves. So the dilemma comes with like which side do I want to allow it to be the winner? And every single time I pick the wrong hand or I deliberately not pick the right one because I give myself this resistance. Enough about explaining about self-sabotage. So that was my tendency, right? And then in the video, it was, you can look this up too, and I'm pretty sure it's the only video that is titled The Thermostat Theory because she coined this term. And the YouTuber's name is Jules Gulen. I'm definitely sabotage her last name. I'm not certain how to say it, but if you type in Jills with a Z, the thermostat theory, you can find her. So basically, she did a really, really, really fantastic job of describing first how we, self-sabotage and the cycle that we go through. Have you had that feeling or that scenario where you're making really good progress? Like you wanted to hit certain goals and you are making really good progress, but then one bad thing happens and it brings you back to square one. Have you had instances like that? Not that truck answering in the streets. I'm pretty sure you have. Like as long as you try to improve yourself in one way or another, you probably experience something like this or exactly this. It's deliberate to a certain degree, and it's also very chemical because remember, like I mentioned in the beginning, life is all about reaching equilibrium. So our mind, subconsciously or unsubconsciously, will bring us down to what we are familiar with when we start to rise and break out of our comfort zone, or what she said, breaking out of our room temperature. Because imagine yourself as a thermostat. Usually, when it reaches equilibrium, it's sitting at room temperature, right? But when there's a fluctuation in temperature, it's, let's say you experience something really positive, something's really good is happening in your life, then your temperature is rising, right? It's breaking, it's hitting that limit. So this room temperature, this comfort zone, is actually set by your upbringing. And you would think that, wait, that makes no sense. If I'm trying to make progress to break out of where I'm at, why would our brain Uno reverse if we're trying to break out of something that, if we're trying to break out from a bad place? But the thing is, don't forget, we find comfort in discomfort too. Like sometimes trauma is traumatic, but because we are familiar with it, because we not to say understand it, but you went through it, you know the ending, you know that narrative. And because you know these things, it's like you seen everything. It gives you that sense of false assurance in a very twisted way, right? It's like, oh, I know how this ends. In a way, I feel like I'm in control. Therefore, your subconscious will seek for that, even though consciously you're trying to break out of it. And when we have that resistance, it's like, oh, I'm afraid to break out of your comfort zone. Most of that is going to happen unsubconsciously. However, sometimes it's also very prominent in our conscious as well. And again, our resistance is very much chemical and it can become physical too. Like your body can literally play 4D chess and make you sick to prevent changes. She talked about an experience that she had. Every time after like a very long work year, she tries to go on vacation, but without fail, every single time she tries to leave and she thinks that, I deserve a vacation, she will get incredibly ill. And for the longest time, she's like, wait, am I chronically ill? What's happening? But then eventually she made sense of it through this theory. And how do we know when we're finally hitting that upper limit, like the untouchable area where we're about to break out of our comfort zone? Well, you'll know that when you start to doubt if you're making a good decision, even though it's obviously a good thing for you, a good thing going for you. When you start to deflect compliments on progression, like if someone comes, hey, like this looks good on you, you're doing a good job, and you start saying like, no, like blah blah blah. No, own it. Like say, instead of saying, oh no, say thank you, for noticing and encouraging my changes, because words have power. The things that you say to yourself, although it seems meaningless and silly, it's how we construct our perception of what we encounter for the rest of the day. It's like laying that foundation for how you want to write the rest of your story. If you want to start at rock bottom, your story can only progress so far within a 24-hour frame set. Wait, yes. So another thing is when you become overtly worried about things that are beyond your control. Me with the freaking whole visa thing. Because if you look at it in retrospect, I had plenty of time. I feel like I can confidently say this after I secured a job, but I had enough time and there's no need to panic. Which brings me to another video that I saw after I watched this one. And this name I remember because it was short and simple. Her name was Bria Jones. And she was explaining about this experience that she had when she went to her friend's house. And then her daughter had asked for a smoothie. And the thing is, the daughter is a toddler. So the motor skills of a toddler is not great, kind of shaky. And when the parents made her like this fresh cup of smoothie, they gave it to her. But while the daughter was playing, she's a toddler, come on, she spilled it everywhere. So the natural response is like Bria was like, oh my gosh, like the smoothie spilled everywhere. Like holy crap, I need a towel, I need to clean it up. But her parent was very calm. Like instead of conditioning her to that panicked response, they were like, oh, no worries, we're just gonna grab a towel and we'll clean up and then we'll make you another cup. It's like because of the way that she was conditioned to perceive stress. Because of the way that she was conditioned to perceive a mistake, her mistake response isn't stressful because her parent didn't make it stressful for her. And for me, my upbringing is very much like, I can't believe you did this. Like, how could you do? What is wrong with you? Right? So I panic. It's like, oh, shoot, I made a mistake. I need to fix it as soon as possible, or else this is like the greatest mistake I've ever made. So I was panicking. Anyways, the next one is when you start to pick arguments out of nowhere. Like, everything is going great, but then you start with, but would you love me if I was a worm? Like, but what if like this happened? When you start picking an argument when everything is going well, girl, you're looking for drama, okay? And then the next one is when you're being overtly critical of others. I feel like some personalities are like that, but if you're all of a sudden being a little bit extra, being a little bit over your normal threshold, that's when you should watch out. Honey, we're approaching the edge of your old comfort zone, and the game master is pulling in all the tricks in their sleeve to stop you from modding this perfect bubble. Because the whole thing that we're trying to do is to break out of this bubble. And the whole thing our mind, our body wants us is to stay in the bubble that it's familiar with. Imagine all your cells and all your pathways have worked so hard to give you like to establish some kind of normalcy, regardless if the situation is good for you or not. And we're about to scrap it all for a new one. Of course, like I would protest too. Like, are you kidding me? I spent the last 20 some years establishing this to make you the way that you are, and now you want to change? Hell no. Like, I would be holding myself back too because of fear, because of the resistance of that fear of uncertainty. Like it makes sense. So when I heard that video by Jill's, it was truly life changing. Like her video title says, "The Thermostat Theory, Life Changing." Like it was truly life changing. Like it was not a clickbait. I agree 100%. So like after I watched that video, I had to sit there for a minute just to process. I even took out my notebook to like ASMR to write it down with the addition of 2 stickers because I ran out of room on 2 pages of everything, like all the keywords that she had mentioned, because I feel like it's so relevant and so eye-opening. I finally understood why there was this tendency to mess up, because my body is protesting. I don't want to break out of my comfort zone, right? I'm almost there, but I don't want to. So after all that, I think my takeaway is when we try to step out of our comfort zone, right? We are trying to step out of our equilibrium, of that place, that thing that we're familiar with, that routine, that whatever that was the same. And we need to expand it. We need to expand our equilibrium. We need to expand our comfort zone. Not just to step out and be like, oh, that looks nice, and then go right back. No. We need to step out and hold our places. We need to redraw the lines. We need to override our room temperature and set that as our default, our new default. So how can we do that? How exactly can we do that? And a little bit from what Jill suggested, and my digested thoughts are that, well, one thing is we need to stay aware and be conscious of your decisions and what you are doing. We need to observe our behaviors and calm your resistance. Because remember, resistance is honestly the roots of all evil. It's a formless, literal figment of our imagination. Yet we stay fearful of these hypothetical traps and give them the power to transport us into misery. A lot of the things that we're afraid of aren't really happening in the moment. It's like, oh, if we do this, this would happen. If I try this, that would happen. But the thing is, if it's not happening yet, so why are we stopping ourselves before we even take the first step, right? So if you're someone who's weak like me, you're easily influenced, better yet, you should surround yourself with people who push, like people who pushes the temperature, people who push their limits, because we are product of our environment to a certain degree, right? So if you're constantly surrounded by people with this vision of, I want to improve my life no matter what, we will start to inherit that mindset and feel more comfortable to not listen to our resistance. And the thing is, that happened on what? That happened on Wednesday. And then on Thursday, I was heading in for work. And I was searching up podcasts. Because at that point, I wanted to know more about the thermostat theory, right? And I was just looking up anything with thermostats theory. And of course, there's isn't any, because that's a term coined by the YouTuber. So instead, I did find an episode by someone who I already follow. His name is Healthy Gamer Gigi. And it sounded like a name, Healthy Gamer Gigi. But he had an episode on regarding breaking out of a bad habit. Like, can you see how fixated I was on this issue? Like, I kept looking for information on this. But basically, he went and observed and asked how monks break out of their bad habits, because monks are very disciplined, and me, I'm the very opposite of discipline. Like, I have little to none self-discipline. Like, whatever self-discipline I gained through Project 50, it is now -50. So after observing them and asking them questions, of course, he realized that, monks are regular people. It's not like they have superb self-discipline, but the key is not to inhibit, but to become fully aware when they are engaging in an activity. Because habits operate on a different neurological pathway that allows us to function in pilot mode. So that's when we go into pilot mode, that is when we engage in kind of meaningless activity that doesn't quite benefit our agendas. You know, like when I was listening to this, I was like, ah. But the thing is, I love how I've forgotten what I learned in neural. That's basically 40K down the drain. And also shows you how much I repulsed pre-med. But I was like, oh, what he told us, the example that he said was there was a monk who really liked to eat potato chips. And then to overcome this thing that he falls back to, this bad habit per se, what they did was they didn't limit his access to potato chips, but instead they gave him free access. When you want to go eat potato chips, go get potato chips. Like get as many bags as you want, and I want you to come back, and I want you to intently eat that bag of potato chip. That sounds strange, I know. But it's like instead of just eating it without really thinking about it, I want you to think about what you are doing and why you are doing that. So what that does for you is instead of having your brain operate in that habit pathway, when you are actively present, actively making a decision, that's a whole different pathway. So in order to overcome your bad habit, you need to be more present and approach tasks with clear intention, because that prevents you from getting distracted. When you get distracted and you're no longer focused, that's when you kind of switch gear and switch path. So imagine this, to put it in a simpler way. Driving with the Tesla autopilot mode versus you driving. The outcome is the same, right? You're both driving, but the action is very much different. When you are driving, one requires your full attention, while the other one, like the Tesla driving, it only requires muscle memory. Like not much as to like muscle of the Tesla, because that makes no sense. So like machine learning. One is fully focused, one is just autopiloting. That's the difference between our bad habits and when we are actually actively doing something. So instead of saying, Jesus, take the wheel, you better take the wheel yourself, because Jesus is busy with other serious matter. Like people are dying, Kim. So be self-diligent. Put on your big girl pants and show our brain who makes the ultimate decision. Because if you let it, it's going to run your life the easiest way with least amount of changes to establish equilibrium. Because that's just the way things are. We seek for path of least resistance. And who makes resistance? Us. So that was the height of my enlightenment. And I've really sat in that thought for the longest time. And I was doing free PR. Like I was sending my friends this, like, look at this. This is us. Watch this video and be enlightened with me. And I think it did the job because I got positive feedback. And I'm glad. And I feel like even though it only has been a few days, this feels exaggerated. Maybe this is a placebo effect. But I do feel that I'm more intentional with what I am doing. And even though I'm on vacation mode, I hadn't really touched my PlayStation. I did sit down with the intention to play it, but I didn't end up playing it because when I was confirming that, hey, you're about to sit down to play game, I didn't really see a result, reward from that action. I guess that's why I didn't follow through with it, and instead I slept. Like I literally slept. Maybe I was tired, but I slept. So that's enough with education. Now on to the fun stuff. Let me tell you what I did for the rest of the week, starting from Thursday to Sunday. All right, so like I mentioned, this year I decided to spend this holiday alone to kind of clean. Blah. Should I keep that in or no? Take two. This year, I decided to spend this holiday alone to cleanse my headspace because everything that happened in the months before, I just felt like I truly needed time to think and stop distracting myself with one thing after another. So Thursday was still a work day because we had Zoom class, but instead of having afternoon classes, we had morning classes instead, so that our staff could also commute back home and celebrate with their family. So I worked from 9:30 all the way to 12:30. I was so paranoid that I was going to wake up late because I've had at least two incidents. I had two incidents doesn't matter anymore, where I wasn't able to wake up early. And because of that, I have PTSD. So I asked Taro kindly, I was like, could you please wake me up at 6? He's like, yeah, cool, I got you. So I was able to wake up at 6, leave at 7:30 or 45. I don't remember. And I got to work and I started Zoom classes. And of course, everyone is dead online because one is early, two is on a holiday. Like some kid kept messaging me, my Chuseok, my Chuseok. Like, dude, I feel you. Me too. Me too. Okay, but let's get on with it. Like, we're almost done. After that, at 12:30, we finished class. So days leading up to the Chuseok break, I had been just paralyzed in the decision fatigue, as one does. And I'm very, like, I cannot make decisions. It's very hard for me to be very straightforward or to commit to my choices. I just can't. If I go to a restaurant, if I go to a new restaurant, I have to look at the menu on the way there so that I don't take up so much time at the restaurant, which I think is a responsible thing to do, but still it gets tiring, even for my own brain. So I was deciding, I was like, what do I want to do? Like, I knew I wanted to develop my films or at least drop off my films at the place that they develop film. They're going to be closed because it's a holiday. I knew that I wanted to give my apartment a deep cleanse. It was so messy. All available surfaces were covered. Like it was so disgusting to a point that I left these stickers. I still have some of them. Wow, I didn't even take them off. I bought a sticker pack, a sticky note pack. Here we go. It's neon yellowish green. So think about it like a highlighter color. It's so bright, it's distracting. So I went around my apartment and I put up sticky notes of these are the areas that I want to clean. Literally, I wrote declutter and I put checkbox for me to check off once I completed that. Oh, that sounded real ethnic there. Completed that section, and I think I only have 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, I still have 4 sticky notes left, but I've actually cleaned 1, 2, 3. I've actually cleaned 3 out of those areas, and I've forgotten to take off the sticky notes because I was so occupied when I was cleaning. But yeah, I knew I wanted to do a deep cleanse. I knew I wanted to go to the Han River and just sit down and stop distracting myself for a hot second and think about what I want, about life, about just to not have something to do, just to enjoy the view, enjoy the weather, enjoy the sun. I knew I wanted to do those things, but I couldn't decide which day to do them. So hey, at least there's progress. I know what I want to do. But eventually, another thing on my list was that I knew I wanted to finish this video that I've been working on since forever, and I wanted to have it uploaded by the end of this month. So I was like, all right, this is my chance. I have 4 days off. There's no way I can't finish this. So my intention was to actually finish this Thursday. So I was going to grind the entire day. I'm already working, so might as well work all the way through. And then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I can do other things. Excuse me. So After work, immediately, I commuted to this cafe next to which is a lot closer to my apartment. Because before, I would go to Starbucks if I really, really needed to focus. I can't focus at home. Like, I have to be honest with myself and stop trying to waste my day away by staying at home. But one day, by accident, like we saw this place. Like I've seen it before. I knew it was a coffee house, but it seems so bougie. They have their own roasteries in there, and then it's like multi-layered, and then they also have like a rooftop. Like I felt like I wasn't expensive enough to go in there and spend money. But the weekend prior to this, we decided to do some work there, and coffee price was about the same as Starbucks, but the environment was leaps and miles better. And it just felt like a place I could really concentrate. And it's closer to my place. Are you kidding me? So I commuted to that cafe, but I was afraid that because I was planning on staying there for a long time, I would get hungry. But usually food at cafes are really expensive, right? But I was broke. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna get a muffin from the subway station, and I got like 2 chocolates from the subway. I didn't end up eating any of them at the cafe because I was focused, but also two, when I went around to order my coffee, the little bakery section was right next to the register, and I did a little loop-de-doop. All the prices of the baked goods were very reasonable, like to a point where I'm like, wait, I think I wasted money at the subway station. Like that, I feel like that quality wise is not even like a hair. They had like sourdough bread there. They had mocha something bread. They had egg tarts. They have Madeline. They had everything wasn't like expensive. Wait, everything there was not ridiculously priced. So I was like, you know what? Next time when I come here, and I know I'm gonna go back there because that is now my second base. Next time, at least I'm going to try one of their bread or cake or muffins and see for myself if they're really like of high quality. So I went there and I started editing. And the good news is that I realized, hey, you know what? I'm actually closer than I think. I think I'm going to wrap this up today for sure. So I stayed there. And while I was there, I was actually on a Discord call with my best friend because she's grinding for her OAT, which is like an optometry school entrance exam. And she's doing her thing and I'm doing my thing. And we're just on Discord to keep each other accountable. And we have been doing that for the past few weeks. And it's been like a routine now, to be honest, kind of. So we were doing that. And then towards, I think maybe about like 4 or 5, she was like, how much longer are you going to stay on? I said, well, I'm going to try to finish this video. So maybe like in a few hours. She's like, all right. It was like 3 or 4 a.m. there, her time. Okay, so it couldn't be 3 or 4 p.m. here, my time. Anyways, she's like, I'm going to go catch some sleep. Like, I'm not even thinking. I'm like, makes sense. You go. I'll see you again, like, in a few hours because I'll probably be there. I ended up staying there until 7 when I finished my video. Like, everything was good. I got my thumbnail. I was thinking, you know what? Let's head home. And while the video is uploading, I can write the descriptions and blah, blah, blah. So I got home, uploaded everything. And then by the end of that night, I was really tired. I sat down to play FIFA and I didn't end up playing it. I fell asleep with the controller in my hand because I guess I used up a lot of my brain power. So the video's out, replied to some comments. And then the next day, Friday comes around. My original plan was to go to the Han River and I wanted to read there. I was going to bring I still have my bag here packed. Like, in this bag, I have my picnic mats and I also have my little pouch. I feel like I'm filming an episode of GQ What's in My Bag. And then in this little pouch, I have the book that I was gonna read at the river. And then I also packed my journal, my passport memo. Jeez Louise. That I was gonna write next to the river using my book. And I was also going to bring my cassette tape player because, hey, that's a vibe. And I was going to bring my film camera because I only had a few shots left. And I really needed to finish that roll. That roll has been in my camera for months now. Pretty sure there's going to be light leaks, maybe even bubbles. Who knows? We're in for a ride. And another reason why I was pushing myself to finish that roll because I fell into this black hole of looking at Polaroid cameras. I have a Polaroid camera, but the battery is out. And while I was looking for replacement battery, I was like, it's more expensive than I thought. What the heck? Because it's a special type of, I believe it was CR2. I could be wrong. But film cameras use a very special type of, it's not AAA, it's not freaking AA. So it was expensive. And I'm like, but the appeal, the novelty of Polaroid is that you get instant results, right? And it's a physical form that you can place anywhere. You can put it in your journal, you can put it in the back of your phone case. Wouldn't recommend you to put it anywhere that exposes itself to the sun because it's gonna fade. But it's like, that's convenience is what people are going for. And the thing with film photography is you shoot a roll, yeah, sure, but you have to take it to get it developed and then have it scanned and then you get it on your phone. So it's like a very lengthy and expensive process. I mean, but not as expensive as Polaroids. Because think of it this way. Polaroids, you get 10 shots in a pack. And if you're shooting like the Instax Mini, you have to pay about like $14 for one pack. However, if you shoot, okay, what I was looking at was the Polaroid Go. It's very small. It kind of looks like one of the old foldable, well, not really. Imagine like an old foldable Polaroid, but reduced to like a modernized size of a marshmallow. It was very cute, but when I was looking up at the reviews, not many people had reviewed it, and people who had reviewed it gave it very polarized response. Polaroid polarized, because some people said the focus was just so bad. But then recently they came out with the Gen 2. So then I follow through this rabbit hole of, okay, where can I get the Gen 2? But the thing is, no one really is selling it in Korea. And if I were to do the international shipping from the website, it would have cost me like $200. And really, if you think about it, if you're trying to be logical, $200 just to get the camera. And then you have to buy the Instax, right? The Polaroid paper. Let me call it Polaroid paper because it's by the brand Polaroid. For the Polaroid Go, the photo paper that it uses costs $30 for 16 shots. Do you hear yourself? $30 for 16. And with the terrible autofocus, I'm about to get a blob of darkness for $2 something per shot. Like, that's ridiculous. So the logic part of my brain finally decided to log on and say, Julie, how about you just focus on film photography for now, okay? You haven't even shot that many rolls yet. How about you get a good feel of film photography, and if you really like certain shots that you shoot, then you can freaking expand. But right now, stay in your lane, okay? Stay focused and stay in your lane. You know, for race horses, they have those what are they called? They have those harness that they put on their face, and then it's basically a visor, so it blocks them from looking at the side and it forces them to look forward only. I need that. So I can stay in my lane, stop spending money on useless things that doesn't benefit my agenda. Anyways, that was my original plan. It did not pan out that way. Because once I woke up, I did wake up at 6, and which was really early. I was kind of in a groggy state until 7. And I'm looking outside. It is so sunny. I'm not about to go sit in an open ground for a few hours in the sun. Like, I know the weather is getting cooler. We're slowly approaching autumn, but it's still not that cool yet. And I would still get toasted. So I was like, okay, we need a plan B. So there was a list of places I wanted to visit. I wanted to go to Muji to stock up on some pen refills. I wanted to go to Nike because there's this creator that I follow on Instagram. He makes these like modern twists on different products. So he used a Nike shoebox and made a boombox. But basically, I didn't know, but he was based in Korea. And he had made kind of like a treasure hunt item. He made a Nike shoebox magnet and he had placed it under the store sign of Nike Gangnam. So he literally posted that like a day ago. And I thought to myself, no, not a day ago, maybe like 2 days ago. And I thought to myself, what if it's still there? So I wanted to go see it just for the sake of it. And also, I'm in the market for new pair of shorts that could last me a lifetime. Running short, no, exercise short, like short. You get it. I don't need to overemphasize. Then I also wanted to go to Adidas because, sorry, Adidas, because there is recently I've been into football, if you can't tell, and there was a release that they did. It was like a retro release of Manchester United 88 to 90, like that season for their away shirt. It was like blue. It was like a very nice blue. Sponsor was Sharp. And then they had the old crest and everything was a chef's kiss, right? I wanted to get it, but I wanted to see, what the sizings were. I wanted to try it on. Should I get a small? Should I get a medium? So I wanted to go to the Adidas store to see if I can try it on, if it's still there. And then I also knew, I wanted to go to Zara Home because my favorite cup was accidentally broken a few days ago. And then Taro, bless his heart, he that night he actually had a team building event. And then after that he went to Zara Home to get me a cup. Now the cup that I broke was like an end of season cup. It was on sale, but it had this very unique marking to it. It was like flower, indentations of flower all around the cup. So of course there's not another one because it was the last season's. I don't remember if I talked about this already, but if I have, I'm sorry. Let me give you a refresh. And then I broke it, so I was really sad. I was like, oh shoot, that was one of my favorite cup, if not the favorite cup. So he went there. There are many different cups there, okay? It's Zara Home, come on. He picked the one that was most similar in terms of color to that cup. And then when I saw him later that night, he was like, close your eyes, I got something for you. I was like, okay. In my heart, there was one fiber of my being was like, oh God, did he give me a cup? Like, did you try to go buy a cup? He was a little bit tipsy. And then I felt it. I felt the bottom of the cup in my palm and I was like, oh my God, he did it. And I opened my eyes. I can't even. It was the cuppiest cup ever. Like, it looked like a cup. There was no flair. It was the cup. It was a cup. It was a water cup with a very similar hue to the same cup that I broke. And he was so excited. He was like, what do you think? I was like, first of all, I was like, oh my gosh, you got me a cup. He's like, yeah, I heard, you seem sad. So I stopped at Zara and then I tried to find the closest cup that you had. He's like, isn't this the best cup you've ever had? And I was like, yeah. Have you seen the video? Okay, this is gonna expose my age. Have you seen that Vine where there's this little boy opening up my mouth is literally sore from laughing. They're smiling, not laughing. There's this one kid, he's opening up his Christmas present, and then when it got to like a very questionably looking packaged present, he opened it up and it was an avocado. And he's like, thanks, it's an avocado. Like, that was my reaction. Times 10. because that's a very sweet gesture. But the cup, the cup was the cuppiest cup I've ever seen in my life. So he was like, "You don't like it?" I was like, "No, no, no, no. Like I'll use it. Maybe I can paint on it to make it pop, you know?" And he's like, "I should not have taken up the stickers." And I was like, "Next time, how about we go cup shopping together?" But it was a joke, and then eventually, I felt so bad because he bought me a cup. Like he went out his way to buy me a cup. So I went on Zara Home and I was like, oh my God, I hope he didn't have to spend a lot of money for this cuppiest cup because it's Zara, right? So I went on and luckily the price was reasonable. It was like a cup of a cuppy cup. So I'm like, okay, whew, at least that burden is not even that burden, that guilt is alleviated. Then I got distracted by all these cups. And then eventually I found one cup that I had been eyeing, not from them, but like the concept of a cup like that for a long time, for only $10. It was like this irregular cup. It's like instead of having like a cylindrical shape, it was as if while the glass is forming, solidifying, is that the right term? You went in there, grabbed it, and kind of like squeezed it a little bit. So it had uneven, large indentations on the side that mimics your palm and your finger. So I was like, ooh, $10? That we can do. So I told Taro about it, and then I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go to Zara Home too. So, and I also thought I wanted to go to like the street where they have a lot of Chinese stands, not like Chinese fans, Chinese stands where they sell like baked goods. Sometimes they had like green onion pancakes, Chinese donuts, stuff like that. And I thought I wanted to go, and maybe if possible, I wanted to get a mooncake because it's Mid Autumn Festival. Come on, you gotta eat mooncake. So I looked at the location of most of the places I wanted to go, and I realized Gangnam Station is where it's at because around the station, you got Nike, you got Muji, you got Adidas, and then after I finish those three shops, I can head on to COEX. So COEX is like a very large department store. Can I even call that? It's just like a shopping center. It has like almost everything. And Zara Home is there. And I was like, okay, then it's not too far. I can jump from Gangnam to COEX within like 30 minutes, maybe 30 minutes, 20 minutes, I don't remember. And then after that, when I finish everything, I'm going to try to take pictures on the way. And by the end of the day, I'm going to go to Film Log, which is the name of the, oh my gosh, what do they call? Camera shop. And then I'm going to loop back home. So that was my plan. So I went to the Nike and then I looked everywhere. The magnet is gone. So someone has already taken the magnet. I mean, it's a treasure hunt anyway, so that was fun. Next time if you posted something, I'll probably try to go get it. I don't know, just for the fun of it. And then I went to Muji because I mean, like Nike was fruitless, so let me go to Muji. So I went to Muji and I walked in there with the intention of getting one pen refill, which I did. I found the color. So the one that I always use is a very like an indigo color. But last time when I came here and I got a refill, when I replaced my old SIM, it wasn't the same shade of blue. It was lighter. And I was so confused. I was like, wait, but on the packaging it looks dark. But then I didn't read the label because the one I'm looking for is like a blue black or black blue. So this time I saw the differences. I was like, oh my gosh, you tricked me. You robbed me of my 1001. So I got that. And then I also got a green because my green pen's about to run out. And I also got a black. And while I was looking for these refills, I saw that there was a casing. And you got the typical white casing, the transparent casing, and all the way to the right, there was like a metal looking one. I was like, oh, this one looks cool. This one feels like it got some weight. And the way, I didn't even hear the way it clicks because before it was empty, but it sounds like this. It's pretty responsive. Feels good. I was like, oh, this one looks cool. But I couldn't find the price. So I was like, let's roll with the punches. It's fine. So I got to the checkout and then they're scanning everything, right? When they get to this pen casing, apparently it's aluminum because if I don't read the tag here, so with Muji item, every item comes with a tag. It says Muji, made in China, blah, blah, blah. That has the item number, the description in Japanese, and then in English says ballpoint pen knock type body, aluminium. It was 6,900. I was like, $7? What? For an empty case. But at that point, I was too anxious to tell them to put it back. It's okay, never mind. So I paid for everything. And I think I spent like $20 at Muji when I walked in just for pen refill, right? So I walk out heartbroken and I was like, okay, let's go to Adidas. I went into the Adidas flagship store near that area. They didn't have the jersey anymore. So I was like, shoot. It was fruitless. So I got out and I took the train. I took the subway to go to Coax. So it was like a one-stop straight shot. So that was very quick. I got to Coax. It's a very, very big place. It's a very big place. It would probably take you all day to look through every single shop. And I don't even think you can look through every single shop. So I'm looking for Zara home. But instead, I encountered Zara first. So I was like, I'm on vacation for the fun of it. Why not? So I walk in, bunch of people everywhere looking at the sale stuff. And I'm like looking and I'm looking. Usually when I go to Zara or if I go to 8 Seconds or if I go to Uniqlo, I'm looking for like work related clothes because it's like smart clothing. What I really like to wear are comfortable things, a little bit more streetwear. So I wouldn't look for it here. But there were like sales, like sales. And I saw this blazer. It was like an oversized double-breasted blazer for $55. Given what it was, $55 was a really good price. So I'm like debating and trying it on and off. But in the end, I decided it doesn't really fit me. The sizing is a little bit awkward because it's oversized. Plus the sizes that were left were just fitting my body awkwardly. I feel like one thing I learned through this journey of trying to find my style is that I realize sometimes I cannot compromise fit with, I almost said flavor, but that's not right. What I favor versus the fit, I have to stick with the fit more because when something fits your body nicely, it does wonders. It accentuates, your pros and cons, your strengths and weaknesses. But when something has an awkward fit, even if it's like a really good piece of clothing, it's gonna look trash. So I was like, oh, no, I can't do it. While I was leaving, I saw this vest. It was the only one left. It was in a size large. It's not my usual size, but I tried it on. It was like a leather crop, not real leather, crop puffer vest. And I was like, I tried it on. At the time, I had like an oversized tee and then parachute pants. Of course, oversized tee, like, that's me. And then I was like, oh, wait, this is kind of nice. It was on sale too for like $45. And I'm like, I don't have something like that at all. But I was like, would I really wear it? So I started at the shop. I started pulling up TikTok to try to look everywhere for how do people style cropped puffer vests. Like, how do you do this? How do you, and like trying to visualize myself, like, is this something that I will wear? But then because of the fit was so awkward, it was a large. So there was a lot of space in the back, like between the vest and my back, there was a lot of space. It looked really awkward. It looked like as if I had wings. It looked like I was a shark. So I was like, I can't have this. So I put it back. But I did try to look up which other store had it in a small as well as in a medium. I don't know. I just want to try it because I don't know what's the proper sizing for like things like puffer jacket. No, puffer vest. Again, I've never worn one before. No, I have when I was a kid, but that's different. So I ended up spending such a long time there because I was contemplating, again, decision fatigue. When I finally made it to Zara home, I didn't find the other cup that I was looking for. There was also another orange coffee cup, but it was not there. I did see the last three uneven cup. So I was like, I looked through all of them. You have to inspect the what is the word? You have to inspect for any small detail because you can't really return it. Maybe you could, but I interpret it differently. Like, don't. Make sure that you're okay with the. Oh my gosh, the word is like at the tip of my tongue. Not fallacy. Not imperfections. That could work. Yeah, imperfections in the glass, like any air bubbles, any scratches. So I picked the best one out of the three that they had left, and I paid for it, put it in my bag. That was it. We were finally done with coex. So I thought. I was walking towards the exit for line number 2 because that's the subway I was taking to get home. And then at the exit there was another Muji. And I was like, I'm here, like, why not? So I walked in. And then I did a loop-de-doop around the island that they have for stationaries. They had the notebook that I have been obsessed with and devastated over because that notebook I cannot find in any other Muji store in Seoul. It's called a passport memo. I tried to look for it online. It's not available. It's not even on their website. I could only find it in Muji USA. But what am I going to do? Buy it in the Muji USA site and have them ship it here? Like, the way I was so obsessed with this because I use this as my journaling journal. It's so small, it's easy to carry, and I've made a system to use my credit card as a guiding line when I'm writing down my diary because because it's so small. And I've been so obsessed and I was kicking myself every single day. Like, I should have bought more when I had the chance. I didn't think that they were going to discontinue that. I only bought 2. One for like a gratefulness journal and then one for my, not daily, but semi-weekly, semi-monthly journal. So when I saw it, and I was like, oh my gosh, there was a whole stack of it. I was so tempted to grab that entire stack, but then I stopped myself. I was like, okay, chill, calm down. Like, don't take everything. At least leave some for other people. So I ended up taking 3 in red. So red is the Blink one, and then 1 in navy. Navy one is the one with dots. So I took 3. And then it looks like I'm carrying both the US passport and the Japanese passport because the red is very similar to the Japanese passport color, and the navy is really similar to the US passport color. So I ended up grabbing 4, and thank goodness I grabbed only 4 because each of them were $150. So it ended up being like 6, and I'm like, huh? And I'm like, okay, imagine if I bought that whole stack, I would have spent another $20. Like, goodness gracious. So I got it, and I'm on a roll. I'm like, today's a good day. Like, we're finishing strong. But we had one more location to go. I needed to drop off my film. So the trip to the film place was a little bit wacky. And when I got there, luckily it's still bright out. I went there, and then I went to the dispenser that they had there. It looks like a vending machine. So on one side, if you're trying to buy camera, if you're trying to buy film, you can use the vending machine to pay, and then, they would dispense it. On the other side, they've installed like a small black box where they've equipped it Ziploc bags with a piece of paper with a QR code. So you're supposed to scan the QR code, complete a form, and then put your role that you want to develop in the Ziploc bag, throw it back in the black box, right? So while I was doing that, I turned away, and then I was trying to write my information out on the opposite side of the store. The store is in kind of like not exactly an alleyway, but it's not on the street. So you have some parking spaces and then like a walkway. And I just overhear this 2 foreigners walking by and then walking to and then taking picture at this place. They're like, oh shoot, like everything's so expensive. It's like, feels like $30. And then one of them starts going, oh, I can't believe they're close. Like everywhere that I want to go is closed today. And then in my mind, I'm like, did you not know today's a national holiday? Like even if you're a tourist, before you go to a place, do you like do you, do you not notice these things? Do you? Well, actually, I didn't. When I landed in Korea, my very first time, I was here on like Liberation Day. It was some kind of holiday, and I completely did not know because I was like, wow, Korea's so patriotic. I see flags everywhere. Yeah, well, yeah, they were celebrating like a special holiday. I did not know, but it was. I was just like, foreigners. Wait, me too. Like that was a moment. After I drop off my film, I finally hop on the train to get back to my place. But halfway through, I wasn't even home. Halfway through, line number two, they started saying something in Korean, and it was beyond me. I couldn't comprehend it. But the lights start flickering, and I was like, um? And it seems like, from what I could make out, they want us to all get out at the next stop. I was like, did I hear that wrong? So I'm starting looking around, and then everybody was getting up. Like everybody was leaving. I was like, okay, let me not get stuck in this train. And eventually, when we got to the station name was called Sindorim. It's not where I was supposed to go. We're not even anywhere close to that. And the lights just completely turned off. And then the subway was moving very slowly. And I was like, is the platform door going to open or not? Should I panic or not? But I'm just like waiting. I'm just like looking at everyone. I'm just trying to study what they do and mimic. So eventually the door opens, everyone gets out. And some people were lingering near the station because I thought the same way. Like maybe the next train will come and then I can catch the next train and proceed with my commuting route. But the train never moved. And then the few people who were lingering around, they left too. And I was like, okay, I don't want to be left at an underground subway station alone. So I left with them. And then I got to the surface and I was trying to find a way back home. If I take a taxi, it was going to cost 5,600 won. Not bad, but I didn't want to spend that money, especially after a full day of shopping. And I feel like I've already made a lot of unnecessary spending at Muji, so I can't really justify myself to take a taxi. I rarely take taxis in Seoul. So I was like, okay, let me try to find another bus. But then the buses, like, it, I don't even, I was so tired. By the time I got home, it was completely pitch dark when I got home. I just sat down. I was supposed to cook myself a meal that day because Friday was officially the holiday. It was officially Chuseok. I had ordered frozen makchang, which is some part of a pork intestine. And I also ordered sesame perilla leaves and enoki mushrooms because my genius idea was that I'm gonna cook the makchang, right? A lot of oil is gonna come out, a lot of flavors. I'm gonna put in the enoki mushrooms, suck all that up, and then put in the perilla leaves, wrap it, eat it. That was gonna be my dinner. I also ordered a tiny tub. No, I wouldn't even call that a tub. Tiny cup? No. Tiny pint? Smaller than a pint of Haagen-Dazs. Because I was like, listen, if today's a holiday and I'm alone, I want to celebrate it too. So I got that, and then I think that's it. 1, 2, yeah, 4 items only. So then I was already tired, but I was like, no, I'm gonna cook myself food. So I was cooking, and then I was watching a documentary called Who Killed Jill Dando? Huh? Yeah, Who Killed Jill Dando? And then I was even watching that as I was falling asleep, but I didn't mean to fall asleep, but I guess I was exhausted, so I fell asleep really fast. So that was a successful day. Like I accomplished what I wanted to do. Then Saturday comes around. That was supposed to be my day that I choose to finally commit myself to do that cleanse, to clean up everything and reestablish this place. And in the beginning, I really lacked motivation. Like I believe I woke up, I looked outside, it was really dark, and I was confused. I was like, huh? But then eventually it started pouring to a point it felt so refreshing with my windows open. Like it was like free AC. And I was so happy. I was like, imagine if I decided to clean up yesterday and today was my day to go out. It would have been ruined. So that was great timing. And then I didn't start cleaning, I think, until afternoon because in the morning I was actively avoiding it. Like I'm still in denial. I still didn't want to do it because everything felt so overwhelming and I just didn't want it to start. But eventually I put on some good music, connected to my wireless speaker. I placed it in the second, excuse me, can you call that a second floor? Yeah, I put it on my loft so that the music was traveling downwards. Wait, it just felt very like spacious. There's this ambience echo, and I'm like, okay, this feels good. We're in a good mood. So I started cleaning, and I actually didn't finish until like 1. I mean, I did eat in between, and then I did get sidetracked in between. But overall, like when I had everything clean and I did trash run, that took like a hot second. I went through all my cabinet space. I can, like, right now, I can finally see spaces and floor. And I just feel so much better when I step downstairs every morning since. And by every morning since, I mean since yesterday because today's Sunday. But it feels good. It's like I did this. I cleaned everything. I cleaned all the mirrors. I cleaned all these. Am I starting to? No. No, I'm gonna clean after this. There's no way. But I mean, it's almost 12, but there's no way I'm gonna reset this. I can do this. There's still one more thing left to do on my house cleaning list I was going to repot my plant. I was going to repot my birds of paradise because they've seen better days. They've look a little sad right now, and I'm like, okay, I think we need to replenish the soil or give it a larger pot. But today when I went out to Daiso to try to look for a pot, they didn't have any pots that were bigger. So I was like, do I need to order online or what's the case? But then I decided to, instead of wasting random money, how about you come back home, like loosen up the dirt, pick up the roots and see if it's starting to like coil or does it need space or does it just need fresh soil? Because I feel like that soil is pretty much depleted. I've had this plant for like 2 years now. 2 years? Yeah, I've lived at this place for 2 years now. Crazy stuff. So that night I was hungry and I didn't want to cook because I was cleaning all day. And I ordered food from this Chinese place. I used to order from them before. Back then they had like bentos where you can pick 2 dish that you like and they'll give you rice. And I always ordered lamb skewers with that as well. So today I ordered lamb skewer, but they don't have the bento anymore. I was like, okay, that's fine. I ordered, I guess, just like a regular serving of cumin lamb and then rice on the side because they didn't come with rice anymore. So I was like, okay, cool. You want to make money? I'll support you. Oh my gosh. It was the oiliest food I've ever eaten in a long time. So much so I got so sick the next day, aka today. Like I constantly had like stomach ache. I'm like, is this what I get for eating clean? Like I've been eating pretty clean for the past few days. Like I resisted McDonald's. It was screaming my name. I swear it was. But I was like, no, I gotta cook food at home and eat Haagen-Dazs after. and work out. I did commit to my goals of working out this week. But what was interesting was I basically was looking in my living room like, why do I have, in my bathroom, why do I have so many clothes like just hanging? The logical response is that because I don't want it to wrinkle. Because when I wash my clothes, most of the time it doesn't have any wrinkles. I'm like, perfect. If I could just leave it like that, I don't have to bring it out and steam it again when I wear it. So for convenience, I've been hanging them around any hangable surfaces. But that looks very messy and it looks very crowded. So I was looking up online. I'm like, how do people fold clothes? Do they roll it or do they fold it? Right now, I'm just like doing what regular people do. I just fold it. But then I came across a video, someone suggesting me to fold it the Marie Kondo way. And I'm like, Marie Kondo? First of all, I do know who that lady is. I know she's famous for, just tidying up everything. And I need a little bit of Marie Kondo in my life right now. So I watched the video. And then she demonstrated how to fold the clothes the KonMari way. I could be saying that wrong. I'm not sure. I was like, oh, wait a minute. This saves me a lot of room. Am I going to wrinkle my clothes? Yes. But does it declutter my space? Absolutely. So I went through all the clothes that I was hanging around in my area and I put them in this like IKEA. Have you seen those IKEA plastic bags with the zipper? It's like for long-term storage. You can put your like coats in there. It's like white with orange orange zippers. If you have, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. Like I have that. And then a part of me is like, how do people like store their clothes in the open? Because before I've stored some of my clothes in the bathroom, but obviously that's not good because there's a lot of moisture there. It's gonna breed bacteria. It's gonna, start mold. So I'm like, but my closet space is not a lot in this apartment. It's like also very awkward length. So I'm like, what can I do? There is a space beneath my air fryer, and I've been using that area to store pots and then my bags. But then I was like, okay, maybe with a little bit of finesse, maybe I can squeeze that IKEA bag in there. Is it ideal? No, because that bag is soft. It doesn't hold a shape. So whenever I pull that bag out, it's going to move the clothes around and it's going to have a hard time maintaining that shape. So part of me was like, yeah, maybe we should just go to IKEA the next day and buy a tote. But then I'm like, I think the problem is that we need to start to work with what we have before we commit to buying something else, Julie. Like you have this tendency of buying things and then realizing afterwards, like, oh, I really didn't need that. Now I have less room. So I reorganized that space and now it looks so much better. So much better. So that night, I went to bed. I don't remember when I went to bed. 3. I went to bed at 3. Part of me was like, the rebellious part of me was like, I want to play FIFA. But the truth is, I went on my bed and then I played a documentary about this case. I've heard about this case long time ago when Stephanie Sue first covered it. It was the one where I think they were in Australia, but 3 friends went to meet up at a coffee shop and then one of them was murdered by like a drugged iced coffee, like a Vietnamese coffee. Wait, was it Vietnamese coffee? I don't remember that. And then they were doing like a documentary on the killer. So I was like, oh, I want to watch this. Yeah, my head hit the pillow in like 0.5 seconds. And then I opened my eyes. It was the next day. So today I woke up really early, like about 7. My plan was to go to a place called IFC Mall because, get this, why? Because that place has a Zara. I wasn't over that leather vest. So I was so invested that I wanted to just try it on like the small and medium size. And the curious thing is that they were both last pieces. So I'm thinking, okay, by the time I got there, if they're not there, then that's, it was not meant to be. Then I'll be fine with it. But if I get there and it fits, we're on to something. So I'm looking at the route for IFC Mall, realizing, shoot, I'm not going to make it on time because there was a bus that had an interval that was like 20 minutes. If I missed it, I would have had to wait in the sun for 20 minutes. So I'm really hustling. I'm running a little bit, jogging a little bit. I looked like an absolute maniac. I could feel it because I feel like when I passed someone, they were like, what? But when I got to a intersection, I looked at my timetable. I was like, shoot, I'm not gonna make it on time. So I was standing in front of a pedestrian light and it had turned red on me. Like right when I got there, it turned red. I was like, oh my gosh. It says it had 2 minutes left for the bus. If the light doesn't turn green in 2 minutes again, then I'm gonna miss it. Like I'm gonna have to wait 20 minutes in the sun. So while I was waiting, I was like, you know what? Let me see what's another option. What's another store? Another Zara store that also carries at least like one of the sizes, I guess. And I found a place called the Hyundai department store, D Cube City. And I'm like, oh, wait, this one's actually closer by like 20 minutes. So I'm like, I can try this. So then, by some kind of miracle, the pedestrian light had turned green and I raced to the bus stop and I caught oh my gosh, I got on the bus so quick. And then I went to D Cube and then I went there without checking what time they opened. Because with IFC, they opened at 10. So when I left at 9:30, I was fully panicking. Like, by the time I get there, it's probably gonna be gone because they're on sale. When I got there, I saw so many people at the entrance with the stroller. So I thought, oh, maybe it's because it's hot, so they're waiting inside. But I'm like, but why don't they go in? So when I push the double doors open and I get closer to the handles, I'm like, because it's locked. And I look at the clock. Oh, it's 10:52 because they haven't opened yet. This place opens at 11. I'm like, oh, great. That means I could be one of the first people to walk into Zara and check out the item if they still have it. So I waited longest 8 minutes of my life. And then they opened the door and then I sped walked to Zara and I saw her in all her glory hanging on a stand that says 40% off. So I walked there. It was the very last small size and then the very last medium size. So I tried both of them on, but eventually the small had a better fit. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna get this. And then luckily this place also had a Daiso because remember I was gonna get soil and a new pot for my plants. They also had that too. So I was like, okay, let me go to Daiso. It was in basement second level. I went there, got the stuff except the pot. They didn't have one. So I was like, let me go home, see if I really need one. And then I'll order it if I really need one. I haven't done that yet. I haven't repotted my plant. I think I might do it tomorrow morning. I don't have enough time now because, wow, I've talked for so long. It is now 11:54, almost 12 o'clock now. I originally had plans to prep my class tonight, but I think I'll probably go to sleep instead. See, I don't even have this desire to play FIFA anymore. That usually would be the thing that I do before I go to bed. It was almost like a ritual, but I think ever since coming to terms with my actions and why I've done it, it wasn't really pleasurable. It was just like a reflex. And now it's almost like I'm listening to myself. What I really want is to sleep. Yeah. Am I maturing? Am I finally acting my age? But after I went to Daiso, I got everything and then I commuted back home. I was able to finish all that around 1:30-ish. But then on the way home, the buses I had to take, they weren't really on a fixed schedule or there were no information on when they would arrive. They only told me that it was going to be in increments. It says 16 minutes increments, but I swear it was like 30 minutes. And once I finally got home, I had one more big task was to finish my student comments. They are due tomorrow, but I haven't started yet. My original intention was to do it on Saturday, but I didn't get to it until Sunday today. So I was like, all right, let's pump these out. So from like 3 to 5, I was writing more like 3 to 6. I was writing those comments, but I'm happy to say that at least I'm done with it. Then Taro came back from his hometown, and then we decided we wanted to eat dinner together. So, but he was gonna take a nap. So after he woke up from his slumber, I went to his place and we had hanu, like premium beef. It was really good. Oh my gosh, I miss having steaks. But I'm not cooking them at the moment because I'm currently fixated on cooking chicken thighs. And so far, I've only tried one time, but the seasoning didn't fail me. I think it was a little bit too long because the skin was burnt, but at least the inside was cooked. My biggest fear was that it wasn't going to be cooked enough because that's what happened to me in college. That's why I don't touch pork and chicken because I did such a terrible job at it. There were so many times where I cooked it, fully believing that I cooked it, served it, and then when I ate it, it was raw. So, PTSD. So yeah, and that brings me up to speed until now. We're looking at 11:57 on a Sunday, October 1st. It's crazy to think that we're in October already. Like in September, I had booked myself a ticket to see Korea Open. I think it's gonna be my tradition for the years to come. I was really excited. Originally, I bought tickets for the UTS2, Ultimate Tennis Showdown, but they changed it to a different city, and I didn't feel comfortable enough to commute to another city alone. What if I get lost? What if something happens? I'm not even, like, Taro's not even close to me to help me out. So I was like, it's okay, I'll give that one up, especially because I don't even know who the lineup is going to be. And instead, I bought a finals ticket on Sunday. And that was supposed to be for October 15th. And I'm like having a whiplash because I'm looking at the calendar like, wait, we're in October. That's like next weekend. That is so wild because it seemed so far away when I was booking the ticket. It's like a year-end event, right? And I'm like, wait, this year is really coming to an end. 2023. I remember I was so dazed going into 2023 thinking that, wow, we're in the 23s now? Now we're going to be in the 24s. Like, I'm aging in Godspeed. And luckily, I do have an idea for my next video. I'm going to try to convince myself to be less of a perfectionist for it, but to focus more on efficiency. Now that I've discovered my favorite cafe, I think that's going to help me a bit with my productivity, especially knowing I can't do it at home and I really thoroughly enjoy their coffee and space, most importantly. And location. Like, wow, a 3-in-1. It's like a men's shampoo and body wash and conditioner. We love efficiency. That's so American. But anyhow, thank you so much for sitting through this lengthy one. It has been... Okay, now she wants to eat. Uni is 12. You need to fix your eating schedule. Thank you for sitting through the 75th podcast of Lactose Intolerant as Uni munches her dinner away. I hope you had a good holiday if you're celebrating Chuseok or Mid-Autumn Festival or National Day. You know, you work hard all these months, and I hope that you're taking the opportunity to rest your body, given that you're doing something or you're not doing anything. I think that's both good for you and your bodily rhythm to kind of sort of reset. And if you're trying to improve your life, don't forget about the upper limit theory and push through. Don't give in to your resistance and be more aware and present when you're making a choice. And make the best choice for yourself, given the intent. Do you want to film a commercial? You sound like you're eating cereals with no milk. I mean, technically she is eating cereals with no milk, but point given it. You know what? As long as you're happy, I'm happy for you, man. I can't do this. All right, I'm gonna try to get some sleep, and you should as well. Eat well, exercise, and set goals. we're almost at 2024, but you don't need to wait till New Year to try to break out of your comfort zone. Push your temperature, push your thermometer, and set that as your new equilibrium. Set that as your new room temperature. Because, why? Because you are deserving of a life in the high temperature zone. And I'm gonna leave you with that. Bye. Take care of yourself. Peace. When you give me a crunch, come on, give me a crunch. She decided to stop. Disappointment. I feel like my Asian parents. See you next week. Bye.